Hello students. So today I will be taking you to one of the most important aspects in the field of clinical research and pharmacovigilance. And the purpose of this presentation, this interaction will be in order to fulfill the gap between the academia and the industry. As you know that recently there has been a new updates in the field of clinical research when we talk about human trials. In year 2019, Government of India has introduced new clinical trial regulation, and there is an amendment also which has been there in 2023. And as a researcher in this area, every student should know about these updates regulation. And as we know that clinical trials, when you talk about, the most important aspect of clinical trial is safety and efficacy of clinical trials. That's the most important aspect. For every new molecule has to go through a drug discovery process. There is a first step in which we identify the molecules, and then those molecules will be tested on animal experiments. We call them as preclinical trials. And once the safety and efficacy of the new molecules are tested on animals, the phase it moves to clinical trials. And in clinical trials, we have various phases, phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in order to conduct clinical trials in humans, the Government of India has introduced these guidelines. And for all the industry, it is a mandatory thing which has to be followed. And in 2005 and 2019, because everything there is a past. In India, when you talk about the history of clinical trials, the things were not as good as in the past. And on regular occasions, Government of India takes a lot of initiatives and they come up with new regulations. I will be taking you to the journey in the past, what happened in the past. So for India, the year 2005 was a very big landmark in the field of clinical research, because in this year, the patent law in India got changed. In India, from process patent, we became a product patent country. So a lot of multinational companies start coming to India. And the things were going very smooth. There were a lot of companies which were coming to India for conducting clinical trials. But in year 2013, there was a big setback in the field of clinical research, where Supreme Court of India and even the Parliament of India came forward and they pointed out various lapses in the field of clinical research, where the patient's rights, safety and well-being in many trials by many companies, they were compromised. And even the Supreme Court of India mandates various consent-taking behaviors. And Indian poor patients, they were used as guinea pigs in many occasions. So this is a journey in the past. And over here you can see, because of all these things, the Government of India and Supreme Court directed to come up with the new regulations. And as we know that in 2019, we come up with the new regulations by Government of India, that is New Drug and Clinical Trial Regulation 2019, in order to safeguard the patients. And this is at par with the international regulatory guidelines. And this is the Gazette notification, which was given in year 2019. But even though everything was going smooth, even after the launch of this particular regulation, there are some episodes which concerns the safety aspect. Even a drug is, when it is launched in the country or in the markets, still the work is not yet done. We need to monitor the safety aspect of the molecules. So the field of pharmacovigilance, every time, whenever a new challenge comes, the industry has to overcome that challenge. But there was a very unique incident in which we can see the Indian image, because India is considered as the world generic capital of the world. We supply to almost many countries out there. We are one of the biggest suppliers of generic medicines in the world. But definitely, even if one incident goes wrong, it can impact the image of the country as such. And this was one of the episodes in which one of the companies, there was a drug recall, and WHO, World Health Organization, and because of this particular molecule, there is reports that it had led to the deaths of around 70 to 100 kids because of substandard molecules. But still it is under investigation, but definitely it has tarnished the image. And because of that, the regulatory body in India has come up very heavily on the industry and conducted audits and inspections. And finally, in 2024, the Government of India has come up with a new regulatory documents for pharmacovigilance, that is concerning the drug safety, that is market authorization holders of pharmaceutical products, which was launched in 2024. And every industry has to follow this particular document. So as young researchers, the students which are listening to this talk, it is very, very important that all of you should follow the best standards in the industry so that we can fulfill the gap. We can fill that gap of academia and industry, because the industry looks for the latest regulations. Thank you.